What's happening, HT Nation? Hey, this is a Tutorial Tuesday. We wanted to revamp this so that we're going back and revisiting how to play the game in specific terms. So in this video, we're going to be talking about Explorer cards. Explorer cards are anything that has this blue background and says Explorer up here. Now, it actually might say Explorer Land or Explorer Sea, Explorer Air or Space. It basically categorizes who the Explorer is. And when we have the revised version of the rules where there's 3 levels of abilities, so if you have, if you're an expert in historical conquest, you're going to try the 3rd level of them. Until those rules come out, don't worry about the second part of the Explorer by whatever. Basically take that as a reference to who they were. Sacagawea was the one that guided Lewis and Clark over land, and so she's considered an explorer by land. An astronaut would be an explorer by space. For the game's sake, in the beginner rules, you don't need to know these things. Those don't play that big of a part in this. The explorer is what's important. These blue cards are the most important cards in the whole game, beyond land, because you're trying to gather as much land as possible. The way to get to that land is these blue cards, these explorers. So I'm going to show you all the different parts of how to use an explorer card. Now, so when you're playing, say you played one round where you played a land and you played your 3 cards. I guess we couldn't play that one. So you played your 3 cards for your first round. Now you come to a point where you have an explorer in your hand and it's your turn. Comes your turn. So the first thing you want to do before you play any other cards in the land that you already have, you want to see which land Sacagawea finds, or the explorer. So you play the explorer. You don't play him in this land. As soon as you play an explorer, you play the land that they find. So you grab it from your land pile, place it right underneath them, and that's the land that they start. Now here's the great thing. As you find new land, you're going to be able to get all new abilities and have new strategies that come with that land. So say I'm in Madagascar, it's in Africa. If my opponent has an African land, I know that if I have any more army cards come up, I don't want to put them in the land that is that my opponent won't be attacking. I want to put them in the land that they will be attacking. So if I have an explorer, when I start a round and I want to play that card, I don't want to wait to the very end and play that one card and have no one else to defend that new land. I want to play them first. They're the first card I want to play. So I play them down, and then I play whatever other cards I want to play. Now, the other reason why they're such a great card to have is they're not just cards to find new land. They also give you abilities like every other card. So you can use those abilities to help your civilization by increasing your morale, or by helping you expand your strategy to your opponent and such. Now, say I played these 3 cards. Say I also had 800 morale points. Now again, the figurines are coming up, but until they're here, there's my marker for my morale. I can use whatever I want. It'd be really cool if I had Miyamoto Musashi sitting right there, ready to attack on my morale. Basically being able to track that morale. But until they come, until I get enough donors for the pre-sale, we're going to continue with all these little odds and ends of different things I can use. Now, say I'm at 800, or actually say I'm at 900 points, because I have to be at 800 points or above in order to attack my opponent. Now usually, if I have an African land, I can attack my opponent's African land. But the reason why the explorers are so important, another great reason why they're so important, is that if, say my opponent doesn't have an African land, I do. And say I have a North American land, they don't have a North American land, all of a sudden we're in a standstill. There is no reason no ability to attack my opponent. And so all I can do is hope for 3,000 morale to end the game, because I'm never going to be able to get there. Or say if I have only 1 from every continent, and say I claim 6 countries, 1 or 2 from 3 different continents, and my opponent has totally different continents, we will never, ever attack each other. And that would be totally a lame game. This game would mean nothing if those were the as far as you can go. But explorers are so important because say I'm in African land, my opponent has an African land, so he has, let's see, not Europe, not Asia, not South Pacific. I'm going to find an African land. There you go. African Asian land. Say he has Egypt. And in Egypt, I'm going to put it over here, just for this example. Say he has Socrates, and he has Ferdinand Graf von Zeppelin. If I want to attack, oh, sorry, like I said, if he doesn't have an African land, so take him out. Say I have a European land over here. If he had an African land, if that Egyptian land was there, explorer doesn't really matter. I can attack him country to country, no problem. All I would do is count up my attack points because I'm attacking. They'd count up their defense points. Big problem here if, say it wasn't an African land, instead it was from Europe. All of a sudden, the Sacagawea, the explorer, has another purpose. Explorers are allowed to transport one card per turn anywhere on the map. Now that's only one explorer can move one time per turn. So if you have two explorers, only one of them can move per turn. So pick wisely. I can transport a card, one other card with that explorer to another land. Now say if I'd still have to live by the rules of only 4 cards per land and only 1 army. So we'll say Sacagawea moved over Hannibal over to this land. They could stay here. Great. Say they wanted to move to another land. They can move anywhere in my civilization. But if I have an explorer and I don't have a country from the same continent as my opponent, I can also take Sacagawea and one other card. So it's going to be an army card if I have one. And we're going to attack Greece, which is in Europe, of course. But because of my explorer, I can travel from one continent to another continent. And at this point, they would count up their defense points, 20 points plus 100. I would count up my attack points, which is 4,600. Obviously, I'd win. So because I attack, one of their cards would go to the discard pile. Would I attack again? Of course. I'm allowed to attack twice per turn. So what do? I attack now, and they only have, 20 points. That person would then go to the discard. And because there's nobody left in that land would then become mine. So what happens is, I would claim that land, it would come into my battlefield, and I'd put both the people that traveled to that land to occupy that land. And the great thing about that is that I can continue to attack my opponent until world domination happens. Or my morale gets up to 3,000 points. But if I have an explorer, or I have multiple explorers, I want to be able to attack all the lands possible from my opponent. Now, at the same time, every turn, I'll give an example. Say they had one other person in there. So say they had 3 people, and it was, again, Greece. Now, because Sacagawea can only bring over 1 card, she brings over the army to attack Greece. Because they have 3 cards in that land, I would attack once, and 1 would go to the discard. I'm still limited by the rule that I can only attack twice per turn. So if I attack again, 1 more person goes to the discard. That 3rd card saved my opponent from losing Greece. So Sacagawea and that army would then go back to the land where they came from. Now, no doubt, the next turn I would be trying to attack Greece again. And hopefully, my opponent would have had put 2 new people on there. And hopefully that 3rd or 4th person card wasn't an army card. So they could actually defend against my army. But it's a gamble. I want to be able to attack them as many times as possible until all of a sudden Greece, because of mine, Sacagawea, and the card that attacked with it, would be able to claim that country and would stay in that land after the attack. So again, this is why explorers are so important. If you have any questions about explorers or things we need to add to this video, please tell us. We can actually add on to this video so that we're constantly growing more on this one video about explorers. This is what our Tutorial Tuesday is all about now. We are going to explain every in and out of this game, starting with certain categories of cards so you know how they work, including we're going to go over lands, we're going to go over conquerors, armies, and the abilities or the limitations that they have for each card. That's why Tutorial Tuesdays are going to be so important now, because they're not just answering questions, which we'll still do, but they're about explaining the strategies of each card and why they're important. Next week, watch out for interrupts. So we're going to be playing interrupts and explaining the ins and outs of how to use an interrupt card. And as you are players find new things, especially during Stump the Creator, we'll add them to the video. So we'll have a huge compilation of all these different parts and pieces having to do with that one card or that one scenario in the game. So you don't have to go to all these different videos to find all the different information about the Explorers. You come to one video, you can watch the whole thing and get everything about Explorers and the strategies while using them. I hope you like these Tutorial Tuesdays. If you have any questions or comments about how we're changing this, please put it in the comments below. Otherwise, email us. And if you have any questions where you think it might stump the creator, tune into our Mondays episodes for Stump the Creator. It is truly a game changer, and a lot of people are getting into this. I'm getting a lot of responses. So put in your response and see if you can stump the creator, because if you do, I got a present for you. Until next time, hope to hear from you soon. We'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye. If you have any comments or questions, add them to the comments below. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow actually. Take care. Bye.